Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome back around to this next episode of this show, the Hellish podcast. Hey, welcome back. Yeah, we're just doing this again, just getting into the mess of everything that's just happening all around us, the usual. Take my hand, and I will guide you through the madness that we're currently going through. As of late, just countless things that are going on. We'll get into them in a second. Before we start all that, the nice little step back and, reanalyzing what we're doing. I come to you a saddened person that has not practiced all of what he has preached lately. Toning down on the doom scrolling and whatnot. If anything, I've increased it as of lately. All the crazy stuff that's just been happening lately, it's damn near impossible to ignore it all, really. But I did stick true to one word, diverting some of my energy over to a more creative task. So, miss me with all the bullshit. Yeah, I'm no Picasso, but I like to paint. Other than that, let's just hop into all the craziness that's been happening lately. So, rifts going on both sides of the political spectrum. We already covered the whole left side, Young Turks. Cenk is just making it worse for himself, especially the little sit-down talk he had with Ben Shapiro at the conservative convention in Arizona last month at some time, right? It's just not looking good for Uncle Cenk at all. And more hosts are coming out criticizing him and Anna. Other than that, a Mariana Trench level size of a rift is taking place right now on the right side of the political spectrum in the MAGA universe. So, MAGA loyalists and the tech bros that are taking the movement for a ride are clashing against each other now. It all kind of really started off with Laura Loomer, which is the self-proclaimed best journalist for conservative news and information. She's the female version of a Nick Fuentes, bottom line. Recently, she took shots at Elon on Twitter, X as you want to call it, basically just, tweeting verbatim, read the room, you bought your way into MAGA 5 minutes after Trump almost got his head blown off in Butler. Remember when you voted for Biden and propped up Governor DeSantis and said Trump was too old? We all know you donated enough to influence immigration policy and protect your buddy Xi Jinping. You pretend to sacrifice donating to Trump and buying X, but you've only invested in your own wealth. P.S. You aren't President Trump is, and already has a beautiful wife. I'm not sure what role you're trying to fill. Ooh, burn, right? That's not even the end of it. Here's the icing on the cake. Plus, you're a level 5 clinger. Linger, man. Linger, right? Level 5 clinger and a drag on the MAGA party as it transitions into power. So, essentially eviscerated Elon on his own platform, right? Response from that, 12-hour ban and a post saying, oh, Laura's just trolling, ignore it. Whoop-de-doo, right? And she got back on and, I don't know, throwing more posts out there, criticizing all this whole issue. And on top of that, too, just recently, there was a event down in Texas called the AM Fest 2024. I guess it's just the convention of conservatives who love country music, bring your guns and beers, and it's just in America, right? Well, Laura was seen on video. It's pretty much everywhere. You can find it at this point. Arguing with an individual by the name of Milo. How many times she just says Milo in it? Just so cringe. An individual by the name of Milo Yiannopoulos. I don't know. He's a British commentator, apparently a far-right political commentator at most. His speeches and writings criticize Islam, feminism, social justice, and political correctness. Basically, it's a British version of Nick Fuentes. They're out there. They come in many forms, genders, sizes, and shapes. Honestly, dude. These two are arguing at this fest until it was, kind of broken up by officials there saying like, hey, we're not trying to have this here. If we have this here, then we all have to go. Don't ruin it for all of us type deal. I don't know. But just essentially roasting Milo for being a drug addict, a cokehead and whatnot or whatever. You're going to die of a fentanyl overdose, Milo. And then Milo, all in his, 10-cent looking cowboy glam pop star outfit, visibly he looked to be on something. If you know coke and yayo, you know what that do to you? You're not sitting still. You're a little bit angsty and you got like a little head bob going on too. It's kind of clear, yeah. But, I would assume Laura Loomer, with her prescription med, probably is no freaking goody two-shoes herself at the end of the day. So, bottom line, when I saw this, I was just like, oh, look at the, pill-popping, drug-addict, neo-Nazi fascists is arguing amongst themselves. Really, it's just, they're going at each other's throats at this point now. Topping everything off, too, along with Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy's latest posts, basically solidifying their stance with the whole, the Doge thing going on in the government. One thing that these guys are definitely gonna keep for sure is H-1B visas. Now, the talks around all these, there's two different ones. H-1B visas is essentially a skilled immigrant worker who can work in computers, coding, scripting, etc., etc. H-2B visas is a unskilled worker, laborers, landscapers, what have you, right? And then as of late, Elon, I think, was the one that made the post. Is like, yeah, we're going to keep H-1B visas because we need to hire intelligent immigrants. We got you guys into this position of power because you said you're going to get all those brown people out of here and make this country great again, right? Why not stop these immigrants from and hire us? Well, America and all its population, you guys are too retarded to work for us. You guys are too stupid. You've idolized the jock and being just a regular common guy for so long. We can't hire all you bunch of Neanderthals, the ones that put us into position. You guys are so stupid. You guys got us here, and we play. So that's where the rift is just getting bigger and bigger at this point. Recently, I just saw a very crude picture. It was like a Microsoft Paint booth application drawing. It just looked terrible, first of all. Second of all, it was a picture of Elon Musk being hung at a noose, and it was pretty graphic looking. It just didn't look as shitty as it looked. It was still pretty graphic. By all means, my stance, I don't like that guy to no extent of the imagination whatsoever. That picture just did not look right. It wasn't good. It didn't make me feel good. It was just weird. And if there's anything, just genuinely anything that these guys are professionals at being, is making shit weird. Absolutely weird. It's madness. Trump's only response lately is, I love H-1B, I love them, I use them, they work all on my property. After we just explain what H-1B is and H-2 is, how are H-1Bs working your gardens and stuff like that? Clearly does not know what the fuck he's talking about, as usual, and just letting these tech bros take the reins of MAGA and going for it. They're taking full control of it all. I'm sure we're going to be seeing plenty more coming up within like the next day of this recording, if not the following week for sure. This rift is just going to get more and more big. Anyways, what else did we leave behind in 2024? My mind is just completely just fried from everything that's just been happening within just the past month alone, As of December 16th last year, a school shooting took place. I'm sure if you heard of it. If not, Madison, Wisconsin. Around late in the morning, early afternoon, shooting took place at a school called the Abundant Life of Christian School. Everybody was freaking out. And then questions were being asked, this heinous, terrible attack that occurred. Who was it? Who did it? Before any evidence or any identification was put out, and only maybe just a picture at most of it, just being a 15-year-old girl. Why would this girl do this? MAGA got to their keyboards and the Warriors. It's a transsexual doing these attacks. Great. Yeah, pretty MAGA base, if you ask me. So all these questions were being asked. Why would this 15-year-old girl do this at all? Especially one that went to a Christian girl. Why would she do this? Investigative journalists, they investigating as they do, started looking into the family life of the individual by the name of Natalie Ruprov? Let me see how you pronounce that. They started looking into her family life, and apparently not the most ideal family life if the second divorcing was finalized in 2021. So a little rocky, right? People started, questioning more and more. All right, must have been a bad family life. Let's take a look at the therapist, the family counselor that, these guys were going through. Everything's just seemed pretty kosher. The usual, going through therapy, parents making good faith effort to try to keep communication and try to, fix this situation they're in. People that knew Natalie, knew her, physically and in person, they knew her as Natalie. She went by a completely different alias online by the name of Samantha Ruppro. The most cryptic name compared to her real name, right? Samantha online formed a relationship with this other individual by the name of Alexander Pfaffendorf, if I'm pronouncing it right. Why would I care? These two are just basically neo-Nazis. Yeah, these guys shared a common interest online, built a relationship off of it, approximately 2 years or so. What interest did these guys share that would make one of them want to do such a horrific crime? Obviously, they probably play video games together, and, you know, with all the violence and movies and sex on TV these days, we're just surrounded by hyper-violence. Obviously, they played a little too much Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty, right? Robbing people's cars and money and killing hookers and doing drugs. That must be the reason why. No. Samantha and Alexander both shared a common interest in neo-Nazi fascism and proactively took place and participated in secret groups together. One group in particular titled as Terrorgram. Pretty up in your face kind of title, right? So these guys, they've been just idolizing the whole ideology of being a neo-Nazi, praising people prior that had committed similar attacks in other countries as well too. When the communications, when it was found out that these two were communicating with each other, Alexander happened to decide to just release a manifesto that was created by Samantha as well too. It's a 6-page document that's watermark stamped with her @ symbol as well too, for copyright purposes. Yeah, this 6-page document, I ran through it so you wouldn't have to, but if you want to, by all means, it's online, I'm sure, still available. Just have some eye bleach at the ready once you're done. But the gist of it is, page 1 to 2 is like, who I am, I'm Samantha, this and that. I'm living in a whole world of just trash and filth. Everybody is, just garbage around me. Society is garbage. My family is garbage. My parents especially are garbage. If you're not just existing out here pretending like nothing's wrong, then you're just like my dad, who's just an alcoholic and smokes his lungs out with weed. Like, that's the most straight edge take I've ever heard lately. How many marijuana cigarettes did you roll and inject, and cocaines did you inject today? The fuck? You trying to diss me? Okay, whatever. Anyways, yeah, everybody's trash around me. I'm back into a corner. It's the world's fault that I'm back into this corner. I don't know where I'm going in life. All the meanderings of an angsty teenager, I would say. Fair enough for that. Somebody doesn't know what they're doing in their life. They got a lot of anxiety. The world that we live in right now is just stressful as is. A lot of hate going on. So you'd think, man, this is just a teenager that's lost. Who needs help? Till about the 2nd page, sharp right turn into racism. Starts taking shots at a community of people. These are the most laziest, terrible, suck off the teat of this nation's benefits. And from that description alone, I'm like, CEOs, right? They virtually do nothing. Massive amounts of people die, all in the name of profit. Now, apparently, it's the black community to Samantha. And yeah, throughout that page, just paragraphs and paragraphs laced with the N-word scattered all about. Pretty Wisconsin based, if you ask me. If you're like, oh my gosh, why are you shooting shots? Go, yeah, I'm shooting shots at Wisconsin, dude. Wisconsin? No different than Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, all those, you know what I mean? It's very base. The biases, the beliefs, it's pretty base out of where they are. Come at me in the DM. By page 4, there's a coming civil war. It's supposed to be going this way, but it's not. Everybody is turning into filth and whores. Call me Frank Reynolds. I like whores. I like to go out and bang a lot of whores. You know what I mean? Like, great. Hating on the whole world. Awesome. Being racist on top of that too. Very Wisconsin based. Then about page 5 through 6 or so, it's just recounting some of the individuals I mentioned before that committed similar heinous crimes in different countries, like Turkey, one dude, I can't remember his name, and I don't really care to remember his name. These pages were pictures provided of those individuals, date, timestamps, locations, and the outcome of how severe their attacks were. So, idolizing and making heroes of neo-Nazi terrorists, basically. So, with the given, this whole manifesto laced with improper use of grammar and spelling, not only has education just completely failed this entire nation as a whole to, not allow people to critically think and not just fall being indoctrinated into extreme ideology. These parents too, man. Like, I know parents make mistakes and whatnot here and there, but if you have your kid that's out here trying to find a way in their life and they find it through Nazi fascist groups, terrorist groups, you probably should not have been a parent to begin with at all. Saying again, it's Wisconsin based. I'm pretty sure her basis of her racial biases, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. You know, not much of articles are really offered online at much of this point. Neither really anything delving into, yeah, she was in these groups. She was idolizing terroristic Nazi ideology. That's not really just found out in the open really anymore. Independent journalists and news outlets kind of got into that information. The most you'll find on a headline these days now, like about 3 weeks ago or something, is that, oh, like, this girl was in contact with a guy from California. Seriously, dude, from a brain-dead MAGA moron, all they need is that headline and being like, oh, she talked to somebody from California. She became woke, and they got into her head and made her do this. You know? Like, seriously, dude. Like, if you think I'm crazy, cool. But anybody really on that side of the spectrum, anybody, just needs that headline, and they're sold. So, yeah, dude. At first, before anything was confirmed, it's a transgender person doing an attack, huh? Western Caucasian, teenage, white, Christian girl. They shut the fuck up real quick. No words. I know, obviously, then it's just a bad, terrible incident. Mental health problems then. Really, and we'll get into that in a little bit. A terrorist, I would put it. Bottom line. Basically, us leaving 2024 and the dookie-filled nutshell of a nut that we left behind. And then we stepped into 2025 with a real bang. Roast me in the comments for that terrible take. 2025 started off with absolute chaos. Not even a full day in 2025. We stepped into 2025, not even a full 4 hours at most. Already some bullshit popped off. At approximately 2 a.m. in New Orleans on Bourbon Street, an individual rammed his pickup truck through a bunch of people, leaving a trail of horror behind him. Many fatalities for sure. I don't even know the number. It's double digits, and many more injured on top of that as well too. This individual did his terrible act, and then law enforcement arrived and gunned down the individual. He was not apprehended or taken into custody alive. He was later identified the same morning. There was other surveillance, like street cameras around Bourbon Street and surrounding areas, kind of showing that there was other individuals walking around acting very suspicious and looks like planting devices throughout the streets. Later, it came out to be there was over 100 IEDs planted all throughout the area, apparently. They evacuated the whole area. Nobody got back home until about 6 a.m., you know. Madness. Questions popped up like crazy about this. Yeah, this individual was identified as 42-year-old Shamsud Jin Abar. Yes, crazy foreign name, right? Curveball here for you. Apparently, he's a born U.S. citizen and a retired Army veteran, a realtor who lived in Texas. Kind of one of the most American things to think of, you know what I mean? Where do you live? In Arlington, Texas? All of that information came out. Other information, too, I think it was his ex-wife was stating that he was, acting irrational at one point where it led to their separation or something like that. After he was identified, track that he traveled all the way from Texas to New Orleans to commit this attack. Evidence came out like the other individuals walking around. I don't know if evidence of a written form of document or a digital form linking him to other people that are about to do something else as well too. I mean, it led to over 100 improvised explosive devices being found apparently, so this is crazy. So a targeted attack, definitely a terroristic attack. A former Army I can't remember what position it was, but an Army veteran nonetheless was indoctrinated into ISIS ideology. An ISIS flag was mounted onto the truck that he drove and, committed the act with. So, yes, a form of terrorism for sure. But there's one word that everybody's really missing at the end of the day here, and we'll get into that in a second. Before anything was mentioned about this individual, any identification came out, instant. What do you think MAGA keyboard warriors did? As soon as they saw it was a brown guy, it's an immigrant. It's a 100% immigrant. It's probably a Venezuelan gang or some kind of Hamas getting through Mexico border or the Canadian border, right? No. Born U.S. citizen and Army veteran on top of that. As soon as that information was leaked out and solidified, MAGA shut the right fuck up again. Crazy enough, too, is that even Trump took to his True Social, made a post in the context of, this nation has a huge immigration problem. And then this was found out. I don't know if he removed that post or not. I don't care. It doesn't matter if he did or didn't. And then apparently the reasoning why this attack was committed is most possibly this Army veteran, which, like many, the demographic of veterans falling into a extremist form of ideology and belief is not out of the realm of reality. Okay, there's reasons why there are veterans out there that have made communities to keep a watch over other veterans in this nation from joining in and being indoctrinated into such a belief, and then joining militias that are survivalist expert militias, when in reality, dude, it's a bunch of Nazis in their little cult camp getting ready. As in many episodes before, they've attacked power grids and all that type of stuff. These are not just normal, regular people who are angry with guns. These are former military-trained veterans at high risk of falling into this form of indoctrination. Sad enough to say. Barely even a full 5 hours beyond the whole New Orleans incident, right? A whole other attack on top of that, too. Let me go ahead and yeah, about most 5 hours after this whole attack happened, another one happened in a whole other state as well, too. Not really too far away. FBI and whatnot are trying to piece things together, trying to, investigate to see if these two are correlating in any way. This individual had apparently rented a Cybertruck, traveled from where they lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado, through Arizona to Las Vegas. End result was the Cybertruck pulled up to the outside of the Trump Hotel in Vegas and exploded with countless amounts of fireworks. Police confirmed that there was gas tanks and camping fuel canisters all loaded up in the back as well, too. Who was this individual? Another immigrant? I mean, this guy's coming out of Colorado. It must have been some Venezuelan, I don't know, I can't recall the name of the gang of that, but most immigrant gang member, right? MAGA keyboard warriors were already on their keyboards, just going in. I think after the last incident, Trump posting that, this is where he refrained and, didn't jump in right away like he did before. But it came out to be that this individual is named Matthew Livingsberger. Really how to pronounce it in this meme-riddled cultural world we're in is Life is Burger. This dude's last name is really Life is Burger. Can I order Gun Burger? Like, we gotta be living in some weird Matrix psyop in some way, dude. You just can't have this meme-filled name of a guy doing some crazy shit. I don't know. This individual, again, a U.S.-born citizen, a current active special force operations master sergeant in the Green Beret, a very senior decorated rank. Matthew rented the truck in Colorado Springs. By 7:30 a.m., he entered Vegas, and about an hour later on, after looping around the Trump Hotel and driving around Vegas Boulevard real quick, came right back into the entrance around 8:30, and the explosion took place. People that were staying at the hotel who specifically did not want to be identified. Wonder why. Apparently felt the explosion all the way up to the 40th floor. Rattled the windows and all that. Made a whole billow of smoke going in the inside. All the way up the stairwells and whatnot. Leaving the elevators completely out of service. And rendering everybody on their floor to remain locked down and stay there. Police and the sheriff of Las Vegas, what's his name? Kevin McMahill? Let's just call him Kevin Pigfeet, right? And showed praise towards Elon and his cyber dick. Thank you for providing us these Cybertrucks, because it's superb craftsmanship. It decreased the blast radius for this explosion and, lowered the severity of the end result. Even Elon came up posting like, I'm glad that this numbskull, this idiot, used my vehicle because, yes, the superb craftsmanship, it saved everybody's lives. Great. I don't know. I mean, I guess if I'm a consumer out buying a vehicle, I guess the first thought is when I'm buying a Tesla is if I have a mental snap and I want to go and do harm, I should just pick this vehicle because I'll be doing only harm to myself. And not to mention the lock feature that happens on the Cybertruck whenever the truck's on fire. You're locked in the vehicle and you're safe. Not the fact that I need to commute and get around and possibly, hey, can this $70,000+ vehicle not become an absolute brick if it gets the tiniest little bit wet through the car wash? No. I want to make sure if I'm blowing something up, it's done right. It's me as a vehicle consumer. What the fuck? Like, seriously? Before more information was released last night of this recording, just the conspiracy meter in my brain started ticking off for sure, right? I'm thinking over here, okay, we have this guy who is a highly decorated official in the Green Beret, a master sergeant. Wouldn't you think he experience and his expertise would include ballistics and explosions and decreasing a blast radius, i.e. the Cybertruck? Especially on top of that too, when it was released onto market, don't we all recall the Cybertruck showing that Elon did when reality wasn't supposed to break? Well, that's what we were expecting, all of us peasants, right? Elon with his 4D chess mind was like, you idiots, of course it was supposed to shatter, even though I told you this is unshatterable glass. This is just me testing and making updates and whatnot, just showing how stupid all of you guys are. And then once it finally did hit the market, it was, his words alone, basically a futuristic battle tank with cyberpunk aesthetics. Elon's word himself. Even mass media on the market was like, this is like a tank built to be basically almost indestructible. Why would this guy with military background, high military background, pick out of all vehicles this vehicle that can cause the least amount of damage with his intended plan to make it explode? This is not just more than me doing something crazy, and yes, mental health issues absolutely in question here for sure. But this is like a message, not just a manifesto of some sort. This is just some kind of message that caused him to do it. It's different from being indoctrinated into extreme ideology. Just a little bit different. As the days went by and whatnot, just last night, somebody posted on the last podcast on the left's Reddit page, a user by the name of They Killed Kenny with a 3 for the E, an email. And this email now, I'm sure at this point now, everybody's talking about it now. Last night as well too, a podcast channel, thanks to Hasambi, I cannot pronounce his name properly, and I'm sorry. Hasambi Reacts and all that, he was watching a podcast channel of like a bunch of veteran bros. It's just like that community and that culture and whatnot. Hosted this one guy who is one of those people that I mentioned before, like a veteran that is keeping tabs and eyes out here that people don't fall into extreme groups and whatnot. This guy kind of assists veterans who, i.e., have information and are trying to be a whistleblower in a way. Acted by Mr. Life is Burger for an extended period of time. And eventually, he was sent this one email right here. I'm going to go ahead and just get into it and read it to you real quick. In case I do not make it to my decision point or on the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influences or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, in quotations, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPCEN location for this activity is in the box below. It's not provided in this, I don't think. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years. So same with the Jeff Van Drew representative in New Jersey. He's kind of on that. It's an Iranian mothership sending these out based from China, right? So this is where it's like, all right, man, student, he kind of lost track on what reality is. You know what I mean? Global tension for sure, yes. These drones could be a military tactic as well too for surveillance, yes. There's just way too many questions at this point now, and it's just only adding to it. But anyways, I digress. We continue. Yeah, China's been launching them from the Atlantic and submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it's just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they use the balloons for SIGINT and ISR, I'm not sure, which are also part of an integrated comm system. There are dozens of these balloons in the air at any given time. So what it is, because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned AC, they are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted to. Checkmate. USG needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico. But won't, because they know I am armed and I have a massive VBIED, which I'd assume vehicle-based improvised explosive device, right? The Tesla truck. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civacs that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. USFORA continued to strike after spotting civilians in the initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble up all aircraft and SETCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with USFORA agent redacted of the DEA, so I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I work for Jen Miller's IO staff on this, as well as a response to Bala Murgab, AOB's commander at the time, redacted, can validate this. You can elevate this to the media so we can avoid a world war, because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. For vetting my LinkedIn, it's Matt Berg or Matt Liveliesberger. He's 18 Zulu out of the 110. Profile is public, and they're stationed that they were placed at in Germany, I believe, somewhere during his active duty. So, a mouthful to say the least, for sure. But this guy is convinced that these drones are a whole bunch of it's military strategics for surveillance and a potential attack from, I guess the perpetrator is China, it looks like, by this guy. It's kind of like as much as has been released about this current situation now, and I'm very sure by the beginning of this upcoming week, before it even ends, there's gonna be plenty more of just wild information on top of that. In the video, the interview between these two guys, these veteran dudes, the one that was receiving all of the communications from Matthew, now the story is trying to be turned in a little bit of a way, giving him, basically the story is being fabricated or maybe found to be true that would give this guy a motive at the end of the day. And apparently it was his wife and their kid, and that's what led him to cause, snap and do this insane attack attempt. So I believe between Shamsud and this guy, both labeled as terroristic attacks, which, fair enough, for sure. So the crazy thing with this nation, honestly, man, it's just like the word terrorist, how it's easily just thrown about, even when it just doesn't apply to the situation. So, for example, the Luigi Mangione incident, right? Terrorists, and then gun charges and murder. Murder, wrong, bad, yes, should never be a sought-out solution, given the circumstances. It's, somebody killing hundreds of thousands of people for profit. We already went into that. Luigi targeted and tracked down one individual person. He did not go into a mass gathering of something and commit his act. It was just one targeted individual. Now, it might be a terroristic attack towards the elite community, and they're shaking in their silk-lined boots, right? But I don't feel terrorized. I'm pretty sure people as a mass don't feel terrorized by his act. Just call it what it is. It was just a targeted murder. So murder charges should apply, gun charges should apply, capital murder, whatever should apply as well too, whatever. But a terrorist, you just taking it to a whole new level so you can send a message to the people saying, oh, this is how you're feeling, this is what you want to try to do, this is what will happen to you. Not only if you attempt to do so, if you even speak about it and share your opinion out of frustration, then you're going to suffer consequences too. Breonna Boston. Practicing a protected First Amendment right, even though out of frustration. How many countless videos have I seen protesters on the wrong side of the issues hurling slurs and curse words and describing what they would do to them in front of police? Hey, it's First Amendment, I'm sorry. It's going to hurt your feelings, but I'm sorry. And then, icing on the cake of all that right there too. NYPD just recently released an official statement, and they posted it up, saying that they're going to proactively be trolling all throughout the internets, finding anybody who's sympathizing with Luigi and his motives or trying to rationalize any of it as well too. You're going to be put on a terroristic watch list and suffer potential consequences. We are really heading towards a dystopian 80s movie of like mass surveillance, even bigger than how we're being surveyed now as is. Take a look at these newer cars these days, tracking your driving patterns. I think it was like Nissan and somebody else's. Like there's a whole crazy study and research and confirmed these guys know people's sexual patterns, activities, doing it in their cars. This is all more of a reason to make this more of a surveillance-based nation. Just recently, another CEO individual, I cannot remember his name. It was like I can't remember what it was, but basically advocating, if everything was heavily monitored and surveyed throughout everywhere, then civilians would start acting right. It's gonna definitely be the rules for thee and not for me. If everybody's required to be surveyed, monitored 24/7, it's just gonna be the mass population. It's definitely not gonna be the elites who are for this whole mass surveillance. Anyways, digress from that. The real reason why I'm coming this way is here too, is like all these messages are being thrown out to the mass population. Share your opinion or, share your frustration. There's nothing but consequences for you. There's no recourse for it at all. And you're just labeled a terrorist. Now, as for many school shootings of this nation, which are labeled pretty much only as horrific cases and events and a mental crisis issue, right? I'm sure even after finding Natalie's manifesto and deep fascination with neo-Nazi ideology over the years, this incident is probably will be labeled later on as, this is a mental situation in this nation. Current headlines even existing now, like I said before, really offer not much of anything, as most as California man was in contact with this good Christian girl probably. You know what I mean? And then, same example coming back around again. It's for Kyle Rittenhouse, right? Similar activities as Shamsud and Matthew. Traveled great distances to places they probably had no business to go to in the first place. Only the business was to fulfill whatever motive and ideology that they held true in their hearts. And Kyle went to Kenosha and shot a bunch of people when they realized, like, hey, kid, why are you running around with a gun thinking this is Call of Duty? You doing? You need to put that down. Nope. Run away and start shooting at a whole bunch of people, killing one and injuring a good handful of others. It's in a completely different neighborhood of your own. This is not your neighborhood, and you came here to do that, and you did this to people here. I consider that a terrorist as well. But no, he was a patriot. He made a whole career off his personality of being that patriot. Nothing more of a slap on the wrist on top of that too. Now, for these recent two events, both, yes, terroristic attacks for sure. Evil, coming from a very dark and evil belief and motive on why they needed to do this. Matthew's case in particular is just interesting and weird, and I'm sure plenty more is going to be coming out of it, like I said before. But as for these two situations, and I would also throw in Kyle and Samantha as well too. Terrorists, yeah, but they're missing one important adjective to add to it. I don't know if it's an adjective or not, but one important addition to that. Domestic. There is a real sickness in this nation that has came back. It never left. It was just like cancer in remission. And it's coming full blast, lighting everybody up. And it's racism. It's just a bigotry form of ideology. Capitalism, racism just scissor together perfectly. They coexist together perfectly. Domestic Terrorism is an absolute for sure situation that is not being put to light as much, really. The most that we get from it is like, yes, these veterans who are keeping tabs on other veterans out here that don't fall into this, these cults and these groups. But when you're living in a time where great stress exists, a wage gap that has completely reached record levels of distance in between. Example for Warren Buffett's statement: if 800 companies had paid their fair share in taxes, at the very least, paid their fair share, the American civilians would not have to worry about paying federal taxes or Social Security taxes. Those two would be out the door for us if these 800 companies just quit leeching off of the masses. So we have all of this just combined in this whole mixing pot of frustration and anger. The increased struggle to make ends meet for most people. Law enforcement across the nation being investigated by the Department of Justice again and again and again, from precinct to precinct to precinct. I shared this one investigation. Multiple states and many precincts in those states were busted for stealing drugs, guns, ammo out of evidence and basically selling it and making a profit off that. Similar acts in Utah. This past year, I believe, multiple precincts fell under that same investigation and were busted too. Just yesterday, I believe, a homeland agent of Utah was under investigation and was busted afterwards for stealing drugs out of evidence and basically just redistributing and selling to dealers out in the street. I mean, yeah, if you find a monopoly loophole of forever generating money, shit, right? You know what I mean? But doing it in that manner when you are the individual who holds everybody accountable for their acts, either intentional or not, but no accountability exists on the other end. So there is a reason why everybody's so frustrated from just the tension that keeps growing, the struggle that keeps growing on top of that as well too. And then just the obvious proof that people out here with a badge and a gun who self-proclaim themselves as protect and serve people of the community are here just to protect wealth and property. It's very clear at this point now. People are going to be pissed. People are going to find a reasoning as to why this is all happening. Me over here, I'm full of questions. I am full of anxiety of just the status of everything that's happening in front of us right now and the response from people of it. The irrational response in most cases as well too. And that leads a population of people who are vulnerable and will fall into and be indoctrinated into a form of belief that eventually makes sense to them and then can answer for their anger towards the wrong ones that are put into the target. It's not immigrants taking your jobs. It's CEOs and corporations offshoring all the jobs throughout the decades, making this economy grow weaker and weaker and weaker up until a global pandemic occurred. That was a good kneecap breaker right there for this economy to falter, and it's still trying to just it's picking back up from when that happened. And then now, this upcoming administration, the tariffs that are about to come in, people are on edge. The only official response towards this is, we'll be at your door if you decide to practice your First Amendment rights. Don't mind the neo-Nazis marching around or Proud Boys, survival alpha groups out there. We're out here trying to make sure that you, as an individual who has just been leached off of your resources and are frustrated, to make you a terrorist. If you so speak of, damn these guys, and I hope I do X, Y, Z to make a change, because these guys proactively are not. They proactively are just extracting the wealth and resources from the masses. And all in all, recourse, I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't know, dude. The recourse, we had an opportunity before the election to try to save democracy in some kind of way and just, keeping a somewhat civil meaning of life. But it's done, dude. We passed that after the election. It's done and gone. Now, if this is like some kind of like social experiment, this definitely is a failed experiment, 1,000,000%. We've been told as a collective, our nation, we've been told, like, you guys got to cut this shit out. Like, you guys are heading down a path, and it's going to lead you there. You know, like, let's just say, like, an example, school setting. Better quit failing, you better quit doing this and that, or you're just going to fail your way out of here, dude. You got to quit acting like that. Well, what did we as a collective nation do to that rhetoric? We kicked the doors down of that classroom, climbed up on the teacher's desk, and EMC squared all over that desk while flipping off the teacher. And then the result of that? Oh, how could you do that? Slap on the wrist, detention time. You know, even though you guys are such a prominent country / example that I'm giving you, can't give you the full consequences of your actions. So here's a little slap on the wrist, go to detention and sit down for a second. And our response as a collective was seriously like, detention? What detention are you going to give me when there's no school? That's the collective conscience of all of us here, dude. Not as in me and you, but just as the masses that has spoke for us. We fucked around way too much. The find out stage is going to be... So anyways, let's just wrap this up here, you know. This dumpster fire full of just content for sure. Anyways, man, yeah, let's wrap this up. What you binging on lately, yubbish? Hey, Double Toasted, a channel on YouTube. These guys basically just, you know, they go through movies and they're comedian critics, and they'll just roast the hell out of a movie and just, you know, it's funny as hell. Their takes, fucking, I'll be laughing, dying, rolling over the floor. But I love those guys. As of late right now, they were taking on some news topics. One of the topics is Sony Entertainment CEO Tony Vinciquerra had a meltdown statement like last week at some point, right? If you haven't heard about it, then here you go. Basically blaming the entire failure of the last 5-ish Marvel movies all on, not because of laughable CGI. These budgets are $100,000 minimum budgets for these productions. Amateur levels of, you know, acting, even by professionals. Like, dude, motherfucking, I guess Madam Web was the most perfect example. What's her name in there? Is an Oscar level actor. But she read the room and honestly just was like, fuck this, dude. Like, the directing is trash here, which is, you know, terrible directing, terrible CGI, terrible acting, unexplainable and unnecessary shots in between the movies, and especially at the end of the movies where they introduce an entirely fucking unknown character in the Marvel Universe lore. Like, you gotta be so deep into it. Like, for example, me knowing that Tom Bombadil, I can't even pronounce the name, Tom Bombadil, had not acquired the Ring of Power, or if he had, or Sauron had invoked his powers, Tom would completely eviscerate Sauron, okay? Him, and with the flick of his pinky. Okay, this dude is out here marrying the river, dude. This dude is marrying goddesses and stuff like that. This dude's the eternal wizard. So, you know what I mean? If you're in that deep of a lore about a topic, then you would know these characters. But even for the mass majority of people that are into Marvel are like, who the fuck are these characters? And then in the end, it's just like, hey, yeah, we're about to go do this and find this guy. We're about to link up and do... And there's no fucking part 2. Nobody links up at all. It's just another damn movie. Then you got Morbius. Then you got Venom, Morbius, and whatnot. Nothing stuck together. They just kept on introducing these random-ass characters at the end and just left it there. With all of that into play, it's not his fault. It's not the company's fault. It's the critics' fault out here. You guys roasted Madam Web so bad back then that it set a whole precedent for these movies. And you guys ruined the whole franchise now at this point. You critics. Like, I don't even know. Like, they just create nothing but flops. And Craven. Holy shit. I am not a Marvel fan. I like DC a little bit, but I'm not even big into that, universe as much at all. But I was looking at some of the segments and clips from these movies, and I'm just like, this looks like a fucking Amazon series of some sort, And more, it resonates true that Charlie, Moist Critical, when he made the statement that these budgets for these productions is nothing more than a cover-up for some kind of money laundering scheme. It's gotta be. Hundreds of thousands plus of dollars, and we as consumers get this slop. We have Craven in the freaking Spider-Man universe without a single Spider-Man. Just using this IP and making garbage out of it and trying to make what you can with nothing, and terrible acting and directing, wardrobe as well too. But no, it's the critics' fault, 100%. No accountability here at all. And that's the day and age, man, that we live into. Nobody can take accountability. That whole trait, any sense of morality, any sense of being able to take criticism, constructive or not, lack of any sense of integrity and accountability. These people are more than willing to remain ignorant, empathetic towards anyone, especially ones who are foolish enough to become clients of, the target audience, no matter the severity of either entertainment, the value of it, or to the value of one's life being taken care of in a self-proclaimed healthcare company. Doesn't matter, dude. Nobody is taking accountability at this point. And it's all our fault as consumers. Next thing is, the hell else is going on? So, everything else wasn't enough for you. I'm about to just top this dish off here for you. As a kid, I always never was prone to the Abercrombie and Finch store, whatever you pronounce them. Not my style, first of all. And then second of all, like Abercrombie, American Eagle, maybe American Eagle at the very least. I'll get some pants from there. Last time I recall, I don't remember. And Hollister always gave me that kind of weird sense of those stores. And listen, man, hey, if you know me back in the day, I ended up in one of those Hollister stores. I bought me a shirt. I was going through some phases back then. That shirt served no justice for your guy at all. So, hey, we live and learn. Look at these male model dudes. This is for the pretty boy store and all that. Apparently it came out that CEO of Abercrombie and Finch, Mike Jeffries, has been found guilty of sex trafficking male models that worked for the company between 2008 and 2015. 8 male models came forth about their experience being sold out to people who attended lavish parties. And seriously, dude, the look of this guy, like, when I saw this dude, this Botox pump monster who looks like the IRL version of Caitlyn Jenner from South Park's take, dude. Honestly, this dude's a fucking ghoul. Hey, smooth skin, what you looking at, right? This dude's freaking looks like a ghoul and has tendencies and acts of a ghoul. Apparently enough, hey, this guy even also knew Jeffrey Epstein back in the day as well too. So the description fits. Yeah, he was taken into custody, West Palm Beach, Florida, sometime last month, I believe, and then extradited to New York for his trial to take place. 15 counts of interstate prostitution and 1 count of sex trafficking. As the past week or so, his legal counsel released a statement. Surprise, surprise. We believe, that Mr. Jeffries here has experienced a great increase in dementia and, decline of his cognitive abilities. He won't be fit to stand trial. He probably should just play that good old Harvey Weinstein card and just walk into the court, with the granny walker with the tennis balls under it, right? That was a good move. Or the Bill Cosby, right? Was he blind or something? Something like that. But, alright, dementia, right? We're going to play that card. If we currently have a president-elect who's about to take place in the next couple of days, who is, definitely not at all willing to admit his cognitive decline whatsoever, but by experts all around saying this dude is showing all the signs of dementia. But no, doesn't apply there. He's fine. He's fit and he can run a country. He's about to take reins of a whole country again. He's okay at 82 years old or something like that, shitting his pants intentionally. Poor old dementia guy over here. He can't sit there and basically be told, you're a rapist, bro. You did all this sick, crazy shit. You are a rapist. Time to suffer the consequences for it. Not fit enough because of dementia, but somebody with dementia is fit enough to run country. Okay. And yet the world continues to make sense and spin, right? I really don't even know at this point. It's coming out from all sides on a daily basis. Something crazy is happening damn near on a daily basis. Potential psyop to keep us all distracted on what is happening this coming year, or just the results of an unfit, mentally unwell nation responding to a time of great stress and tension. all I know, I can definitely just react at it all and just be like, hey, what do you think of it as well too, and try to make some reasoning out of it. What can be rationalized, the other, no, is irrational. The last thing too is, the hell is this? So, as of lately, I said, what the hell is this? What the hell is Mark Zuckerberg and the whole Meta team thinking by doing this? This must be a tactic to completely eviscerate these two platforms. So, it came out in a statement, both Facebook and Instagram are going to be implementing countless numbers of bots, bot profiles, and all of that to be integrated into Facebook and Instagram. Reasoning why for it? To possibly boost interactions from users and whatnot. These bots that are going to be released onto these platforms, they're going to be able to make posts, I believe possibly comment on other people's posts and other bots' posts included, engage and possibly send messages to actual human users to, just garner more engagement with the platform. All efforts for, these dying people are using, like, what's wrong? Facebook? Oh no, Facebook, it's not doing too good. Big surprise, right? I'm just popping off on Insta as of lately. Got like 10 likes on a post the other day. So, dude, maybe half of them were bots. I don't know. Maybe Mr. Learn guitar in 3 days and, grow 2 inches in a week. Maybe they are bots. Damn it. I don't know. But one thing that, seriously, Facebook could have done to help save itself from being the way it is right now is have a platform that prevents spreading, the most greatest amount of misinformation, especially during an election season, the previous one before this one. Doing shady dealings with foreign government entities to use the platform for ads, to bust out the ass with misinformation. Also hosting a platform as well too, with extremist groups in the midst of them and not even acknowledging them at all as well too. And I don't know, or maybe they just did it wrong, like how Twitter did, make it cool for a bunch of fascists to come hang out. I don't know. And the focus of all output of Meta lately is just the virtual world and integrating it into all of our daily lives, brought to you by Meta Ray-Bans. And then as for Insta, just a trash operating system. Seriously, dude, like, not even, I guess it's my algorithm. Just opening it up, first post. It's going to be some thirst trap post, some chick in a mesh outfit with, the nipple coverings and whatnot, dude. And then 12 more posts beyond that. It's just covered with those OnlyFans promotion posts. But, hey, man, you put up a wrong picture of yourself and a nip slip comes out, or you don't crotch the chotch, then get out of here. We as Instagram have a moral high ground that you can't be posting that stuff, but thirst trap ads for you. Like Instagram, it's getting there. Facebook, it's pretty much there at the way of MySpace. I think this is just probably like a quick death blow to end these platforms, because honestly, man, they just keep coming. Blue Sky, man, I'm a grandpa. The most recent thing I created this past year was a Threads account, and that already felt like the most wrong thing to do. It just didn't feel right. I really don't know. I honestly can't expand upon it anymore, and at the end of the day, I think this is just really going to wrap up this show here for this episode. I honestly would just like to wish you good luck in the coming week. Let's just sit back, pop some popcorn. We're going to watch what the hell is about to happen. Well, see you guys around.